the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, everybody.
Peace. It's your brother Deontay Ford coming at y'all live this afternoon.
And Mike is in the house.
Yep.
Peace, everybody. I'm glad I'm able to make it early. It's a special episode after all.
Now,
Yes.
a lot of y'all heard that audio at the beginning of this live stream. And if you've been listening to my content, you are familiar with where that audio comes from. And it comes from the man whose born day we are going to celebrate today, give him his flowers. Amos N. Wilson. And let me give you a little backstory on that audio. People who followed me know this story, but if you don't, I'll tell it again. We used to go to the Slave Theater in Brooklyn. They used to have lectures. Excuse me, I guess that's the mimosas talking. we used to have lectures on Wednesday. Oh, wait, let's put our brother in. Brother Yamoja.
Peace.
And that lecture was called Blueprint for Black Power. Now, on YouTube, very popular amongst the cultural conscious community. But let me give you some details about that lecture. Me, my cousin, my friend, rest in peace, Mac, we all went to the Slave Theater that night. And the Slave Theater had no heat. The heating wasn't working, so it was freezing cold. Everybody was sitting there in their winter clothes listening, and a lot of people left. A lot of people left because they wasn't willing to deal with that. We were, we had nothing else to do. We were sitting there. We like, we was contemplating whether we should leave or not. So, we saw Amos Wilson was a guest speaker, and to be honest with you, total transparency. When we saw him get up there with his suit on, we were like, should we really be staying and listening to this dude? Like, what? Because we were used to people coming with their dashikis and the culture, whatever. He wasn't like that. He just came up like, straight up with the suit on. And we were contemplating, should we stay or should we go? And because we had nothing else to do, we said, you know what? Let's kill, let's deal with this. We got our winter clothes on. We ain't dying. It's uncomfortable, but we're here. And that lecture turned out to be the best lecture I've ever sat down with. And I would go so far as to say that if it wasn't for me listening to that lecture, there would be no Mr. Holipsism. I can honestly say that. And that audio that you hear at the beginning of the live stream and the audio that you hear at the beginning of all of my videos is specifically the point that I consider my aha moment, where everything came together and everything made sense. So I always give Amos Wilson props for being my unofficial mentor and one of the most intelligent people that I've ever come across in terms of the way his brain works and the way that he thinks in terms of dealing with the issues affecting Black folks. Because I heard a lot of people speak before him, but it's almost like if I didn't hear him and hear everything else that came before him, wouldn't have made any sense. It would have just been buzzwords and talking points. So that's my personal take. Oh, and I also had the honor of hearing him at a lecture and had the honor of actually meeting him. And I actually went to his funeral in the Bronx when he passed. So I just want to give him his flowers for being an inspiration and a mentor to me and the foundation of my ideological backing. Sorry if that's redundant for the people who've heard this story before.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So I just wanted to give this live as an opportunity for people to express what impact Amos Wilson had on their life and just to give their flowers to the brother because he's not nearly spoken about as much as he should be.
Yeah.
Anybody want to?
So yeah, I know I'm a youngin as to compare to some of the other older BAL members, but as since I've met Mr. Holism, and since long since I found the BAIO, I had been doing my research about Amos Wilson. And one of the questions rather that Amos Wilson had always long said that some of you people out there have heard at the beginning of these videos has been, why does everything that black man does benefit the European? And Amos Wilson is responsible for sparking that flame inside my mind a lot more and getting me to question things, how they are. And he said a lot of good stuff. He really put the spotlight on Black Powernomics. But the biggest thing that I take from him is that question of why does everything black people do benefit somebody else? Like, why can't we ever do something that benefits us? And he basically sparked my mind to go forward, to keep going and to really get into the what I consider to be the meat and potatoes of the issue with black people globally, which is economics. And I think that the impact that Amos Wilson has had on me just by asking questions. I haven't done too many of his lectures, but to just him asking those questions in the format and the context in which he kept them, it really opened my mind. Like, yeah, like everything you notice, everything black people do, be it a home or abroad, it benefits the European. Like, why is that? And most importantly, what can we do about it? And Amos Wilson, um, he's opened that door for me as more as I get into a lot of his lectures, as to what black people can do, how they should do it. And I think, the impact he's had on me is very profound. I'm still getting into, a little bit more of what he says in his writings and not some of his books are easier than others to find. So, I'm young and I'm still kind of getting into him, but his impact on me, even with the little bit, the little surface that I've scratched, it's been phenomenal. And I also want to give a special shout out to Malcolm X as well. A lot of people are not talking about this, but yesterday was the day that he was assassinated. And then, nobody's really talking about that, or if they are, it's really from a superficial standpoint. So it's ironic because today is the day that Amos Wilson was born, and yesterday was the day we lost Malcolm some 40, 50 years
Isn't
ago.
that
Or how
crazy?
yeah, yeah, and nobody's talking about that. And so, I want to give some love and some flowers to both Malcolm X and Dr. Amos Wilson, because they've had so much of an impact on, not just me specifically, but Black people globally. And their legacy and the work that they left behind is will never be forgotten. And with that, I want to pass the mic to somebody else.
Before anyone else goes, I just want to build on what he said. Um, because those two brothers are the foundation of my ideological backing. It's like Malcolm was, I think, the person who gave me or stimulated the consciousness within me, and Amos is the one who solidified it. It's like those two brothers, I can't imagine who I would be if I had not listened to those two. So that's powerful that Malcolm passed and Amos was born. That is
Yeah.
wild. That is wild. But anyway, anyone else want to go?
I think Mike fell off.
Oh, he'll come back. What about you, Emoji? You want to give your flowers? I guess he's busy
Yeah.
or held up. Let me put the link in the group for anybody who wants to call in. Hold on.
What up, everybody?
What's up, bro? Yeah, I put the link in the chat for people who want to call in and give their flowers, talk about Amos Wilson. But that's just fucked my head up that Malcolm passes and then Amos is born.
Yeah.
Isn't
God
that
keep
crazy?
Yeah, God gave black people another chance and we managed to squander that up too. We lost Malcolm, but he gave us Amos Wilson. And we managed to botch that.
Hmm.
So what's next?
Well, I wouldn't consider it a total botch because we're here.
Yeah.
We're here and we're honoring them and honoring their memory and taking the baton and trying to pass it forward. Run with it and pass it forward. But I put the Mike is back. Let's put Mike back. What's up, Mike? Technical difficulties?
Yeah, I just got in the car and I was trying to fix the Bluetooth.
All right. Did you want to give your flowers to the man?
Yeah, man. I have to say, I like when I got into the culture conscious, quote unquote, culture conscious community. Like, I heard, like, a lot of people name drop a lot of scholars, so you don't really like look into all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, I heard of him in passing, and I heard him through you, right? Because when you were doing like the blog talk shows back in like '09 and 10s
Mm-hmm.
and like 11, and it was still in passing. So I was still like, gaining knowledge and stuff like that, but not to the extent um Amos Wilson. It's like he's a catalyst. It just makes everything, you know, come together way quicker than you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he was for me, like for my ideology. And the thing is, like, he delves as a psychologist, right? He connects everything together as to why nationhood and Pan Africanism, you know, is necessary in all aspects of life. And it gives you like no way, no outs on how to like get away from that if you actually listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it meant for me. And like, and I'll say this too is like his books, like you gotta. I'll speak for myself. Like the stuff even his lectures, right? Sometimes you have to pause and like listen, or when you're reading him, you have to pause it at certain points and process everything because it crystallizes everything that you need to know. But for me, like I have to like sit back and take it in small chunks just to absorb what I can. That's how
Yeah.
brilliant he is.
Yeah, I understand. Like the reason why I put that audio at the beginning of all my videos is because I consider that my aha moment where everything clicked and everything was like, oh shit. So that's the backstory. I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to have their aha moment. Some people, they listen to it and it clicks and it makes sense, and other people, it just flies right over their head.
Because
That's the
they
vast
stupid.
majority. Yeah, there you go.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Hey, y'all.
I'm not.
I
I'm
want
not.
I want to see how you can listen to Dr. Amos. My Dr. Amos story, it actually goes with this story with all y'all too. I was I was fresh on my what you call it? I was fresh on my hotepery, getting all my YouTube information from all these people. And at the time, I was like listening to a bunch of shit, and I could immediately see the clown stuff. Like, man, this dude just putting on a show. This is more of a performance. This isn't real. This isn't real black stuff. That what I can consider real. And I don't, and I think I was like on some Khalid Muhammad type stuff, right? Listening to those some videos like that or something. And I don't know if I found Blueprint to Black Power or if it was just a video of his, man. And I heard this brother speak, yo, and it was for me personally, it was the first time I heard somebody say everything that I think, that I believe, teach me stuff that I already knew, right? Like that I already knew, but put words and stats to it, and all the while like not raise his voice. Because I was used to, I'm used to like the like uh the the power preacher, the loud preacher, you know, the just the boisterous person, the shit, the like Umar Johnson name type, right? The loud. So that's what I was always expecting, right? And this brother started talking, not raising his voice, just speaking clearly and destroying these topics and just making it all so clear. And I was like, how is this brother not like everywhere? How is he not the most popular person? You know what I mean? Like, and then kind of simultaneously, I was looking around me like, where could I get a part of something that like thinks like this and do something like this? And that's where I don't know what topic it was, man, but it was something that I was looking at, and that's where I found a video with Big Bro Holla and Minister Dawood talking about land infrastructure and nationhood. So literally looking at Amos Wilson like led me to the BIO. Like I found these videos around. It was literally like the same day type. I remember. I, that part I remember like yesterday, and I was talking to Big Bro about that because my thought process was, if anybody is listening to this man and talking about what this man talking about on a serious level, I want to be down with them around across the board. If anybody even knows who Dr. Amos Wilson is and they're talking about following him, those my people. Hard stop.
I had a few to like how he wasn't raising his voice. Um, when I went down that rabbit hole of like listening to his lectures, there's some points where he gets almost like he was like proto Professor Dave. Because if you listen to like his lectures, he gets very sarcastic against like like the what he calls like the intellectual mercenaries within our community, and like the people who like I'm guessing what we call them, like the sellouts, who think because they got like some coins from the master, and he has like a special way of just like tearing that down. And a very Professor Dave, he was proto Professor Dave before that was Professor Dave. That's how
Hmm.
ahead of the curve he was. There's a few things I want to share too, but it's gonna have to be in the lounge. So
Here's
yeah,
another
that
thing
dude.
that me and Emoji was speaking about is that nobody wanted to go up against him when he was alive. Nobody was really trying to debate Amos Wilson. Same thing with Malcolm and same thing with Khalid. It's like they avoided them brothers like the plague. Once they were dead, then it became popular to, hey, he was this and he was that. But when they were alive, they tried to stay as far away from them as possible. Like Khalid had a funny story where Sharpton was trying to get a picture with him and Jesse Jackson, and Jesse Jackson avoiding trying to be in the picture. because that's how much they did not want to be associated with Khalid Muhammad.
Mm.
So
And what drove that?
a lot of people who say they got so much love and appreciation for Malcolm X and Khalid and Amos didn't want to be within 10 feet of them when they were alive.
A lot of people omit his influence. Like it's like a loud silence when it comes to those kind of figures.
Yeah. And check out what Michael McGarry says on the screen if you can.
Says Dr. Wilson had also worked extensively with juveniles and could easily analyze the reason why these youngsters seem to have so much hate for each other. Yeah, the
Yeah,
man was. Go ahead.
if you get a chance, read his book Black on Black Crime in Service of White Domination. That's all I want to say, Deontay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And again, the work that he was putting in for the short time that he was with us, it was generational. The man was literally here on a mission. I just wish he lived another 20 or 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I wish I had a chance to meet Amos Wilson.
My favorite part of the blueprint lecture was when he got to the what's what's your name before you got to these shores? What God did you worship? What clothes did you wear? What food did you eat? The whole like when he just delves into like that we're still slaves who are possessed by demons that that Europeans have inflicted in us. That shit kind of yeah yeah. I got no words, man.
So what it what it really comes down to is everybody still there? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah,
I think I think what it comes down to though, and where we need to take this conversation next is because in our group amongst us, I remember it was a bunch of us who did, and it took y'all forever. I couldn't even keep up. It took y'all months and months and months, man, going over his book, The Blueprint for Black Power. Now, when I say the title of that book, Blueprint for Black Power, that is exactly what it is. You hear us talking about how brilliant this man was, how much he loved our people, how much he broke down, literally broke down, not breaking it down like how we like to do now, just break down. Oh, look at this is what they did. They've been doing this for this many years and do. Ooh, he deep, he got the knowledge. No. He wasn't breaking it down like that. He was breaking it down psychologically using and even as he did it, he would break it down and mention to you that yes, he is taught from a Eurocentric standpoint, and everything that they teach us comes from a Eurocentric standpoint, frame of reference, gaze, if you will. And what he was doing all the time was saying, but this is our gaze, and this is where our gaze needs to be looking. And the issue is, though, and it's still happening today, is that we don't want to look at anything from a black gaze. We feel like we have to keep glazing through this white gaze in order to get anything in this world. And that's legit. We feel like we have to rub our shoulders against these people to get that job. We feel like we have to know how to talk like fucking Anthony and Jonathan in order to to get recognized in the schoolhouse. We do. We don't feel like we are enough. We don't. I don't care what we say, man. I don't care. Let's talk psychology since we're talking about a psychologist, a sociologist. I don't care about what we say. What we do shows exactly what we think and feel. That is just a fact, a scientific fact. We're humans. We're biological beings. We think, feel, act. We don't act, feel, then think. That's not how it works. We think first. Everything starts with our brain. And our brain tells us that we don't believe in ourselves because we won't look at brothers like Dr. Amos and say, let's get this book and actually do it. We won't take the destruction of Black civilization, Chancellor Williams' book, and look in the back. He has another blueprint just for us, literally detailed. Here's how you get your elders. Here's how you how you build your organizations. We have blueprints and we ain't doing shit about it, y'all. That's the problem. That's what we really need to be talking about. Why do we commemorate these people and won't follow them? Big Bro always said, yep, when they was alive, they hated him. Yep, when they was alive, they treated him like he was the plague. Yep, when they was alive. Then when they die, oh, great Black man. Oh, he was a scholar of the highest. Blah, 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 blah. Like, we really don't take ourselves seriously, man. And it's a fucking problem for me personally. We do not take any of this serious. Because if we did, we would be saying, okay, Roland Martin, we hear you talking. When we gonna do this blueprint of Black? Only because you have a microphone, not because you're fucking smart. Only because you got a microphone. Okay, Stephen A. Smith, you keep on throwing these little Black stuff in there. How about you really say something that's really real? Tell us to do this. Tell them to do that. That type of shit. They're not gonna do it because no one is pressing it. No one is pressing it. So why would I change my game that's filling my pockets if nobody is testing me? Nobody's testing my chin. I'm gonna keep knocking out these bums. Y'all keep on paying me to get in the ring with bums, and y'all paying me. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep Jake Paul in the world. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm about to stop because I'm gonna get mad. That's why I appreciated him because he wouldn't do this. He'd stay level. I get mad.
We love the fact that you get mad. It creates gold. But we cannot go without acknowledging the presence of our brother Underrated Mind.
Love him so much, man.
Peace, everybody. How y'all doing?
Doesn't it feel good to hear that voice?
It really fucking does, man. Oh, peace, everybody.
What's up? Rated long time, nigga. Where you been?
Oh man, long story short, but just figuring out my life, and it's
yeah.
it's coming together though in a good way. I feel happy about it. Gosh, I haven't been on this in a while. To summarize how impactful Amos Wilson has been for me, Amos Wilson has helped me think differently, understand and appreciate nuance, and embrace information a different way. When we had the book club for Blueprint for Black Power, even though a lot of information may have went over my head and some of it I could understand clearly, one of the main things I got from it was how there's a lot of things that go into play of building a nation. And I remember Hollop, reiterating that to us, and just how there's so many parts that play a big role and it's all connected. And it's like you really get to you really get to read and understand that, it's not just government, but it's also culture, and it's also finance, and it's collaborating and leadership. It's just so many different things. And another part that I've learned based on some of his lectures that I came across was just embracing information differently, meaning one of the lectures I came across from, shout outs to My Name Is My Name, because he would post like Amos Wilson's content. He was talking about propaganda. And just like how in Blueprint Blueprint for Black Power, how we would see power as in a bad way, this also can be used in a good way. And he was pretty much saying the same thing with propaganda. Propaganda, from what we saw, especially in this country, it can be used to manipulate and to social engineer a crowd to think a certain way. But we can also use that propaganda to, you know, encourage or empower people to think a certain way and to be social engineered to act a certain way as well. And just also too, like to Africanize things, whatever information it is, whether it's coming from, someone of our race or not, it's not bad to just learn from it, because then we could see, okay, how can we make that our version of it, whether it's, learning about a certain infrastructure or how we want to educate, our people to be more intelligent, whatever it is, how can we Africanize that? And I think that was the end goal of what he was trying to explain. But yeah, Amos Wilson, he's really helped me think a lot differently now. And I appreciate it, because beforehand I felt like I was just on a whim where there was no direction, and I was just kind of going along with the trend, or people pleasing, or just being the sheep, you know, or a part of the herd. But coming across the BAIO and then eventually falling into Amos, it really helped me stand out in a great way, and to embrace that, and to contribute and continue that going forward. So yeah, um, never forgotten, and rest in power.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, let that sink in for a little bit. I want to unpack a little bit of what he said in terms, because it's a familiar thing for me. What he said, like um, being a part of the pack of the herd. I felt that same way too before I heard his lecture, and I feel like after I heard his lecture, it made me understand all the other talking points that I heard before his lecture. Like, people used to say, "Do for self," and it sounds really good, but I never knew exactly what it meant until I heard him speak about it. Like, because everything that he said was within the context of nationhood. And that's what made me understand what nationhood was. I never had a full understanding of what it meant until I heard him speak, because it was almost like this ethereal, ambiguous thing within the conscious community. Like, people would talk about it, but they wouldn't really give you any explanation of what it meant. And Amos let me know that, yo, you're living in a nation right now. It's that simple. You're living in a nation right now. So it's not this mysterious thing that you just don't understand or can't comprehend. You live it every day. The only thing is, you're using your energy to help empower another race. You're not using it for yourself and your own people to empower your own race. So that's why he was so effectful to me, because he helped me understand what my role was in this world. And it wasn't to serve white people. Hey, Ambassador Saw is in the chat. In case y'all don't know, that's my nephew.
Mm.
Peace, peace, fam. Does anybody else want to give their flowers to Amos Wilson? I'll put the invite in the chat again. I put it in there before, but I'll put it in again for those that missed it. If you
I
want to
was
jump
going.
on and
I
give
was going to.
your,
Oh, go ahead.
what are you saying? Go ahead.
I was saying I was going to add on to what you had talked about in terms of like how the lectures and meeting him in person changed you. For me, that was when I came across Amos Wilson. That was like the matrix for me, pretty much, and
Mm,
I just can't unsee it, no matter how well. I mean, I don't even want to rebel or resist it at all. Like I'm embracing it, but it's just like everything that I've learned from the past, how I grew up. It's hard to go back to that.
yeah.
It really is.
And
And
like, what did was it what's Morpheus said to Neo, if you could go back, would you?
right. Like knowing what I know now, would I go back to that different perspective that I had, or that blue pill mindset? And it's just like, no, I don't want to, because I would miss out on a lot of things. And it's very interesting, because when I came across him, it was like, I guess subconsciously my brain just started to unlearn things now. Like it was just unwiring
Mm,
I guess the mainstream, or the status quo, slowly but gradually. It was getting there.
right.
And it was like I just couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop it at all, because maybe in the heart of hearts, this is what my body needed. This is what my soul needed. That was the aha that I needed. And I had to keep feeding it, hence why I joined the BAIO, hence, like going into the lounges, because this type of information I was never taught.
Mm,
And it's life for me, like when I join the lounge, I know I haven't been there in a while, but whenever I be a part of the lounges and just hear you guys talk, like I'm just learning a lot of game from all different angles. And it's like, this was it. When we had when we met at Carl Fambale's place last year,
mm-hmm.
my favorite event out of all the events that we had was when we were just at the patio, just talking politics and nationhood and just everything. Cause that was the lounge to me in real time. Like if it were to be us living in the same area that Sunday, that was the lounge for me.
Mm,
Everyone in person, just talking, and we're just bouncing off talking points, ideas. I said, this was it. This was it. And I would want that to be my forever. But yeah, when coming across Amos, man, it was over with. Like it's no going back.
yeah, in a good way.
In a good way, of course. Peace to
Vanessa
Lou.
Vanessa says Dr. Amos Wilson is truly my beloved professor. He is well remembered and respected in my household. That's what's up.
Peace, y'all.
Peace. Is that the woo?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Everything is good. How y'all doing?
Peace.
Yes.
You
Giving
know me
honor
running
to the
around on this
brother.
Sunday. Well, I don't know if I can jump in or like is somebody
Yeah,
else
No,
speaking.
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
For me, I'll be very honest. I access Amos Wilson through Hollip because everybody knows I come from the Nation of Islam, and we were the ones that talked about do for self and things like that, but really didn't have, I don't think, a really grasp of what that meant in America. So if you come from that paradigm, then you're a nation within a nation guy. And for years I thought that was the pinnacle of everything. I thought I was smart by saying that shit. And what ended up happening is I ran into Hollip and he started talking about Amos Wilson's blueprint for Black Power. So I started kind of reading that myself. And then I realized that the nation within the nation is kind of an asinine concept, because you can see what's going on now with the new administration, how nothing that you do would really be protected constitutionally, because this fool could do anything and just say it's an executive order. So if you was to, per se, build a nation, which we all know is kind of laughable in America, and then you think the shit is protected, and then all you need is a hardcore president like what we got now, and your shit is just going to be wiped away. For what? And so, like, as I started studying it, I started realizing I still think that you need the rest of the conscious community stuff as a foundation. And that's something I've been thinking about the last couple of months, is that I think that sometimes where we are mentally and conceptually, we forget the steps that we took to get where we are. So we just think that a newbie should grasp it automatically. But we all went through a lot of steps to get us to the point where we understood that we need a nation of our own. And some of those steps were spiritual, some of them were metaphysical, and then some of them were basically common sense. So I think that if you spend a certain amount of time in some of these paradigms, it prepares you for the information that you get, and it's not a shock to you. Because to me, once Hollip started, and I'll never forget, this is the day Hollip will laugh when I start talking about this. It was like the come to Jesus moment. There was a dude in the BAIO before, and he was arguing, and this is not Kala, it was another dude. He was arguing that we should actually do it right here first. And Hollip was like, nationhood is on the table and that's it. And I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? And then I really started trying to understand why he had so much passion, why we couldn't do both of them at the same time. But you're not a true student of Amos Wilson if you think you could do both at the same time, because you would comprehend that it makes sense for you to have a separate territory of your own that you pay homage to, and then you have power. It's sort of like people who try to build a brand before they build their business. Because if you first start working on your brand and you don't have your act together business-wise, like you don't have a way to treat the customer, you don't have a way for supply chain, you don't have your administration stuff, you can get a whole bunch of customers, but can you serve those customers? It's the same exact thing of trying to do it right here first. And then, once you get all of these people into this do it right here community, which would be small as hell anyway, how are you then going to really give them sovereign power if you don't have the nation? It's putting the cart before the horse. So these are some of the things that Amos Wilson, I think, is not really given enough credit for really kind of understanding first before everybody else. And now that, we have enough history and enough words that we've all put out there, all of us on this call and even people in the chat room, now I think people can understand who this man is a lot better than back in the day when it was just him swinging his own sword.
Yeah, I remember that call like it was yesterday, because what happened was Earl Hardaway kind of triggered me.
Yep.
Because we had so many conversations talking about nation within a nation, and we had so many conversations about nationhood and land infrastructure nationhood, to the point where I was like, why are we even talking about, why is this a discussion anymore? And he kept bucking against it.
Yep.
And I just went off. I'm like, yo, dude, what the hell are you talking about?
I wish it was that soft.
Yeah, are we still talking about nation within a nation? Are you serious? To the point where it was like why, like, what the solution is, so why are you bucking against it?
Right. But unfortunately, it turned out that was a precursor of things to come, because he ended up leaving us anyway.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's really what got me into Amos Wilson, and I just really think that over the course of time, I think his information will stand the test of time.
Most definitely.
Because it's timeless. It's like, it doesn't matter where you are, what he was saying was right. So that's kind of my take on it.
Well, it's always a pleasure to hear your voice. We got Underrated and Dawood on this live stream. This is like special right now.
It's like
Can't beat that.
Well, I had to show up for Amos Wilson. I
No
had to.
doubt.
Because you know
No
what though?
doubt.
The way I look at it is, how we spent some time trying to correct a lot of these blasphemers. Um, yep, here you go. Remember we spent some time correcting these blasphemers who were trying to call Martin Luther King a coward and shit like that. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To me, um, I think that even that made me grow because I don't think that I really understood um, the supreme sacrifice that he made in order to do for us to live the way we live. And they were trying to kind of rewrite the history and make it seem like he didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? So we all came together and thank you, thank you. We all came together and we stood against that. And what we did, me myself, I think I learned a lot because it caused me to really thank you. Later on, thank you. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm dropping off my clothes. I think we all came together and we all defended that, even college. And when we did, I began to
Hello?
sacrifice for black people's rights. I don't care what side you was on. You were risking your life. And if the people criticizing you are not willing to risk their life, then you really can't listen to what they say because they don't understand the supreme sacrifice that you made in order for other people to even be criticizing you. So why am I saying that? I think that that kind of correlates with the value of an Amos Wilson because he was talking about stuff that his peers was not talking about. If we can all agree, none of his peers was really talking about nationhood to the level that he was talking about. And so I think that sometimes when you have that kind of you know what I'm saying, like I have a different idea and everybody else has the same idea, then you really got to have a lot of strength to stand behind that because everybody else is thinking this way. Because to me, everybody else other than Amos, they were either talking about some esoteric stuff, like I think Underrated was saying when I first came on this call, they were talking about some esoteric stuff, or they were talking about some stuff that wasn't tangible. Amos Wilson was the first one to use his intellect to break it down tangibly so you could see it and say, oh, wait a minute. When I say I want a nation, that ain't just me and my homie, you know what I'm saying, like in Starbucks and we talking about having something. Because that's really what the fuck it was before even the BAIO came on the scene. And I can tell you that with confidence because I've seen many, many people's nationhood show. And they were just running around, just intellectually masturbating. And they really didn't have a plan. They really didn't have to me, a concrete understanding of, like you were saying, Underrated, with the propaganda, the culture. Like when the BIO first came together, it was a whole bunch of different men and women who had expertise in certain things. So like we had Jonathan Hill, and he was like a land-based planner. Nobody had ever seen that in the conscious community before. I was a security guy, but I wasn't just a security guy that did cameras. I was a security guy that understood how to defend something, how to position things, and stuff like that. So, because of Avens Williams' philosophy, we were able to take our expertise and talk about how we were going to enrich a nation. And I don't think anybody really talked about it at that level before him. So once we really started getting into it, the more you started hearing these shows come out, like Earl Hardaway, I think was a nurse and he did some other things. Like everybody had an expertise that they were talking about bringing to the nation. And so nobody really understood. Like I think we all began to grow and understand how powerful and how deep this nationhood thing is when we were starting to talk about some real tangible stuff we were going to do. And we were talking about like, and then we had Dundada come along and we were talking about how many electricians would be needed, how many you know what I'm saying, like that's real discussion. Real discussion is not just we need a nation, the white man is this, that, and that ain't no real discussion. Real
Right.
discussion is when you start talking about some concrete boots on the ground, dollars and cents shit, real money, real
Exactly.
material, real life. So that to
Exactly.
me, that to me is his value, is that we all really started talking about the bones and what did they say, the brick and mortar, the bare knuckle and bones of what it takes, even for a small nation to survive. And rest in peace, Dev. Dev understood that also.
Mm-hmm. 100%. It's like everything else was ambiguous and vague and Amos made it concrete and tangible.
Yeah. There to go back to what you were mentioning, Minister DeWoo, like there definitely was a lot of growth when I had to learn and understand about, the other civil rights leaders, because I was on the bandwagon at the time where people were saying Malcolm X was better than Martin Luther King, just the way that, they approach, solving our problems. And it's like at the end of the day, they did the best that they could
Right.
without any technology. They
Right.
did the best that they could with, what they can get access to, who they knew, and just what is the best way to guide our people. And just imagine if they had that, modern technology today. I mean, they probably would have came across, each other's ideologies at a sooner time, and maybe had, changed things up a lot sooner. But at the end of the day, they did the best that they could. And it also reminded me too, like how a lot of people take that for granted, because I remember what's that celebrity's name? B. Simone, when she basically said
Oh yeah.
saying Martin Luther King wasn't a great man because of his infidelity.
Right.
And I'm like, this same man gave you freedom of speech. Like he died for that for you. Like you don't even have
Basically.
a platform to say that.
Right.
And it's just like, to me, it was just like you just spat on his grave, basically. And there's a
Yep.
lot of people that have these same, perceptions of it. I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
What about her infidelity?
right.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. And would you die for the words that you say? No, you wouldn't.
No, you would not. No.
And to me, that's the measure of a man. A person
Mhm.
that's willing to die for what they believe in. Like I think that we take that shit for granted, bro. Like
Literally.
most niggas don't want to lose their job for what they believe in. And you are willing to die for what you believe in. You got the nerve to criticize that, man? Are you out of your mind? So
Yeah.
it's
How
like,
you gonna criticize Martin Luther King when you can't even share a link or comment on the video?
right. Because my job, oh my God, I might lose my job. What?
That's wild.
Big brother Dawood,
I'm glad you
I
brought that
see
up,
you
bro. I
on.
wasn't even thinking about that, but that's another one. Like, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
telling you, before y'all came into BIO, we saw a lot of heinous shit. So that right there, it really bothered me, but I'm so used to it now because so many people have come and they have tried to come behind all of these great men's legacy. Well, this one was a coon, that one was a coon, this one was a coon. Bro, you just basically struggling with Facebook shutting down your page. Like, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
But yeah, man.
Emoji. Emoji, you was gonna say something?
I was just gonna say how good it is to hear big brother Minister Dawood and underrated on the same call, man. It's a wonderful thing. That's it. Keep talking.
I think when your Moja meets the Woo, the world is gonna explode.
Well, we're gonna meet 2 times this year because I got to go out to Portland to. My dad is 80 years old and still working. I don't know what's wrong with that fool sometimes. And so, you know what I'm saying?
You
So
let
like,
me know. Man, you get here, you let me know, right? When you step off the plane,
And
PDX, I'm picking
please,
you up.
please take a picture and capture it. Don't be on some Michael Jackson Prince shit.
Dawood, do not come here. Do not come here and get an Uber. Don't have your dad pick you up. I will pick you up from the airport and drop you off, sir. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. You just let me know. For real.
no, because I definitely got to come out there because my dad has enough parts and equipment for me to start my own business today. And he's getting ready to retire. So I have to start sending some of that stuff back East Coast. So me and my son have planned to make at least 2 trips this year. I know I'm gonna make at least one trip out there because my dad could drive me crazy, but at the same time I got to do it because you know how it happens. And I hate to bring this up on this kind of call, but you know how it happens when somebody passes away and everybody starts making the mad grab for their stuff. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And he has already told me, listen, when I pass away, this is your stuff. I'm not going to wait. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be selfish, but that's my legacy right there. And
Mhm.
so like I got to fly out there at least twice, but I at least once this year and send some stuff out there. So we're definitely going to meet. There's no question about it.
That's
This
lovely,
year.
man. Um, unfortunate circumstances that's bringing you out this way. But yeah,
No, he's not, bro. That man is up and running and still working. It's just that, like I said, I have to preempt. You know what I'm saying? The whole, because I've done through this before. When my teacher passed in 2000, oh my God, it was like the mad land grab. All his children came out that never was in the nation before, and they wanted to grab his tools, his clothes and stuff like that. They wanted to take over the businesses. There were men and women who quit their jobs and was on welfare to run these businesses, and they thought that they was owed some stuff. You know what I'm saying? They was like, oh, they need to tell us about these businesses. I'm like, the fuck we gonna tell you? Like, we gave our lives up for this, and now you think you need a cut? Are you crazy? So I've seen that before. I don't need to see that again. And I'm saying to anybody on this line and anybody listening, you need to make sure that your people who are leaving a legacy have their paperwork in order. Because if they don't, you're gonna mess around, and you could say, well, yeah, I'm getting it myself, but people come up by basically inheritance. And don't let nobody tell you any different. It's a hard life struggling in America when you ain't got no inheritance. But when you do, and somebody steals it from you, then it just makes life harder.
Yo, can I say something?
Sure.
I put it in layman's terms. You need to prepare for your death because you ain't going to be around here for long.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
Prepare for your death.
It's
You got to think about, if I'm not here anymore, how are the people that's after me going to, utilize my resources?
100%, because you can't take it with you. So it's irresponsible for you to just leave here with nothing written or whatever, and then they got to fight over it. Like, is that really what you want? Is for people to fight over your legacy? Or do you want them to come to your funeral, say, Dowd was a cool nigga, he helped 3 or 5 people, and that's it, and go home?
I want to do some Tony Stark shit where I can do a video saying, yeah, I'm here, niggas. I know what you're trying to do. This is how it's going to go down.
That is an incredibly awesome idea, and I'm going to do that myself. Yep.
Holub, could you post Maboma's question? I wanted to answer that because I think it's pretty simple. It seems like he is asking, what would Dr. Amos Wilson think about when it comes to focusing African culture and unity today, especially what the BAIO aims to achieve? I think Amos Wilson, I think he would pretty much be on the bandwagon with what the BAIO is doing. If anything, it was inspired. Part of it was inspired by Amos Wilson, with what he's pretty much preached about, because BAIO at the end of the day, we're trying to achieve sovereignty, being able to have control of, your narrative from a social, economic standpoint and political standpoint, being able to own things and have a nation where we can set the rules, not only for ourselves, but the ones after us, so that not only we're seen differently, but we're also achieving greater things beyond it. We obviously look at other countries, they're way ahead, in terms of development and, innovation, and wanting to pretty much find better ways to manage their people and improve quality of living. I think with what we're doing with, the BAIO and Save the State, educating the next leaders, I think that's something that he'll, definitely be a part of and encourage, and possibly find just more information. He might not even have to do so much because he's already done enough. So hopefully that answers your question, but that's what I would think he would think about today.
Well said, bro.
Ambassador Assar says, make it our business to read and implement every single book this giant wrote and study his lectures as well. And he died at the young age of 53. That is crazy.
Yeah. I think he'll be like 84, something like that, around this. Yeah. Man, that is something.
For the panel, did Amos Wilson advocate a geophysical nation for so-called African Americans as or a cultural one? If physical, where did Dr. Wilson envision this geography and building process? I would say that that's what we're here for. Because remember, he died in '95, really before the age of social media or the internet.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 'cause I'm in the barbershop, so I had to step outside. I
Hmm.
think I look at Amos Wilson as me and you, how we talk about this very often. I think you look at Amos Wilson as the architect,
Yeah,
right? So you look at him as like the architect in the Matrix, where he's the author of it, but at the same time there are other people who develop the vision. So he's the strategist more so, and we're the tacticians. But then there's strategy and tactics also, if you understand that. So when you look at two football teams in the Super Bowl or whatever, they both have a strategy as to how they're going to defeat the other person. But as they say in military history, if you've never studied it before, no plan lasts 5 minutes. So therefore, once the war starts, it's all about tactics. But then there's strategy in the tactics too, because you need a person that's this like sort of like this. I don't know what you want to say, dislocated or remote from the situation, so they can look at the big picture. We as the BAIO are developing tactics for his strategy, but at the same time, we have a strategy in our tactics also, because the
hmm
war is now. And so, therefore, every single day, the thing about it is this: you can say where he wanted, you can ask the question where he wanted it to be, but that was in 1995 when we first started. If you remember, Colin, and I know you do, we wanted to put the nation in Angola, and
right.
then after
I
that, we
remember.
were talking about Rwanda, and
Hmm.
then now it's Liberia. So you see how even though we had a strategy, it didn't survive because things changed and we had to change. And
Right.
so I wouldn't look at Amos Wilson as a tactician saying, what did he specifically want? Because if you are looking at what he specifically wants, you're going to really miss what he was trying to do. He gave us a vision. That's really what it was all about.
Hmm.
Let me go back inside.
Same thing with Chancellor Williams. They were looking at it within the context of African Americans here in America.
Exactly. I think of it like they were doing what people were talking about doing. They were doing he and Chancellor Williams provided literally a blueprint for all the things that people would be loud about and just be proud about. Even the nation within a nation stuff with the Nation of Islam, right? That's what he was like showing you the details of how to do that. He wasn't just saying we are a nation within a nation and we need to be supporting each other and this. No, he said this is how you do it. This is why you're retarded. Look at how you're letting these people use your music. They're getting rich off of you. Look at how you this is what he did, right? He made it common sense and he put it out, laid it out right in front of you. And it is insane how all these years later, it's damn near identical. The conditions are identical. Our music is still getting, and he played on that one a lot because that was like so easy to show how much money we was letting leave our communities by not having control over our music, and it's still like that, you know. But no, dude just put practical. He implemented practicality into nationhood as opposed to just getting you in your emotions and getting you feeling good and being like, yeah, we need this. It was like, here's the details of how to do it, and this is why a lot of people just stop because we like the feel good. The feel good people win. The Umar Johnsons, the people who just gonna say snow bunnies and you're gonna get in your feelings. But he said, no, you need to do this. 1, 2, 3. And that's why he's not popular
100.
because we don't like to do shit.
Amy, Underrated said this that he taught he taught me how to Africanize information.
Wow. Wow.
Like no matter where you get the
That was kind
information
of dope, though.
from, Africanize it. Make it work for you and your people. So I can take information from Chinese, I can take information from white people, I can take information from anybody. How do we take that information and Africanize it and make it work for ourselves? That's what he taught me. And I've been like a snowball. It's been like a snowball going downhill ever since.
I can't remember where I heard it at, but I know I heard it from somebody. But I learned early in conscious in the conscious community to ask myself, okay, what's in it for Black people? I think it actually came from what's the end game,
Right.
honestly. I think it came from the what's the end game thing. Because some
Mhm.
people, everybody don't understand end game. So when you say, okay, well, what's the plan for Black people? Simple. What's the Black agenda, or what's the plan for Black people within this, whatever context we're talking about? Cool. But what's the plan for just us? Because just us is always on the side, and we know that. So what is our plan for us? And we don't even like to talk about that. We get offended when that question comes up for some reason.
In case people don't understand what end game means, in chess, there's three phases of chess. The first is the opening, where you establish your defense. The second is the attack, when you start taking pieces. And the third is the end game, where it's about checkmate. How do you put your pieces in a position where you can checkmate or take the king? So that's what we mean by end game. What is the end game for Black folks in America? What are we trying to do? Because if you're not trying to win the game, what are you doing? Why are you even playing?
I wanted
Yeah.
to add, matter of fact, because I know peace Ronan. I wanted to add before he speaks. Another thing too that coming across Amos Wilson and even the BAIO, it even helped me create a quote that I just thought was another aha moment for myself, where I said, at the time, there was a common enemy, but now we need a common entity, ellipses, nationhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, in the period, during slavery, Jim Crow, the enemy was clear. We all know. And there's no telling. But now we're in a time period where that's no longer, I mean, I'm not saying it's no longer irrelevant, but that's not the main focus now. We need a common entity. What is a platform? What is something that we could build upon and that's nationhood. And yeah, like I'm ever since then, I don't listen to any of like other much of the other like conscious leaders that talk about that have the white man on the brain disease, because it's it's nothing but just fluff. And it brought me to another point where I remember Umoja, during one live stream, he talked about where there's action and then there's also effective action. And effective action meaning you're doing something and it leads to a result. And that's what the BAIO is. Like what we're doing, it's not just taking actions just to do it. I mean, you could do something and then it doesn't turn out into anything, that's called insanity. But at least what we're doing is leading to results, and it's, building up something. It's building momentum, and it's carrying weight in a certain way. So that's pretty much my 2 cents. But I'm done now. Ronan's here. Peace, Ronan.
Yeah. I was make it way to the end.
Ronin Black in the house. Thank you, underrated. He probably can't speak right now.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and spit my last 5 bars because we're technically over the limit. You know, when I look back at all the great Black leaders that we've had, even Martin Luther King, even though I disagree with some of his approach, uh, but when I look at Marcus Garvey, Huey Newton, Amos Wilson, Malcolm X, I've often said that sometimes I wished that they all had just went to Liberia and just made that their base. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I like in my, you know, my greatest imagination that's something I wish they did. I guarantee you that coup probably would not have happened had they'd have been there. They
Yep.
probably would never have been assassinated because you weren't gonna be able to get to them. Like I just Oh, the police. Ah, they must have heard me say Malcolm X.
What happened?
No, I heard the cops in the background.
Hello.
What's up, man?
Ronan,
Ronan,
it's
what's
good.
up?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Peace.
Yeah, it's one of the rare times I've been able to jump on. Because my son usually doing travel basketball, so I'm usually not here at this time of the day. So I was able to jump on for a few minutes. I just wanted to say peace to everybody. Um, Proud of what y'all been doing. I've been busy. Um, I had other stuff going on. How knows? Personal family stuff like that. So that's why I've been kind of on the DL, work stuff. But I've been paying attention to everything that's just been going on, and just catching up on stuff. So I just want to say peace to everybody, and I'm like proud of all of y'all. I love y'all. That's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks, big bro.
Do you have any thoughts on how Amos Wilson affected your life?
Um, yeah, I grew up as a Malcolm X guy. Malcolm was the first person that I saw when I was in high school. Um, something that was called Eyes on the Prize, and there was a clip with Malcolm, and I had never heard anyone talk like that about white folks or America, stuff like that. And then, came across John Henry Clark. I didn't get into Amos Wilson until I think the first time I saw Amos Wilson was on YouTube, um, 2008, 2009. And it was it was like getting struck by lightning because I always looked at Malcolm. Like Malcolm always, there was other people, but Malcolm was the guy. He's the first guy. I was like, all right, this guy is on a different level than Malcolm. Like he's hitting all the cues, and it kind of completed my thought process. It made me see everything completely differently. It what Amos Wilson did for me is that he turned me into an observational thinker. Like you got a lot of people on YouTube, they think they know everything. They got these 6, 7, 8 hour live streams, but they're opinionated. They're not observationists. You got to observe things because everything is just not set in stone. It's fluid. It keeps moving. Just like I was talking about um, the philosophy you had, the BIO earlier, talking about Angola and Rwanda, stuff like that. Things keep moving. Things are fluid. Technology keeps advancing. And with Amos Wilson, he always has my mind constantly evolving, thinking about this, thinking about different things, breaking down everything, and realize that it's not just I think underrated brought it up. It's not just about, oh, the white man, this and that. There's so many moving pieces in the world that you got to stay on top of it. And he was, he's probably one of the most brilliant thinkers I've ever heard in my lifetime. You know, he also was, he was very, I think I heard one lecture he gave, he was talking about the Chinese economy. Reagan was the president at the time. So this was like 1987, 88. He said, by the year 2014, China have the number one purchasing economy in the world. He said that in 1988, 87, 88. That's crazy. So that's how far ahead he was of all these other individuals. So everyone else is null and void. They're phony, they're frauds, Umar Johnson, all these different dudes like that. This guy was legit. He had the books to back it up. Blueprint for Black Power is it's like the Ark of the Covenant to me, you know. So he had a great impact on my life. He evolved my thinking to another level, and I have nothing but respect for that man. Nothing but respect.
If you look at the screen, my nephew says, and to add to that chess analogy, we had as a people a horrible mid game that will take a near flawless end game to maybe cause a stalemate. Either that or flip the whole board and start over again. I'm for that. I'm for flipping that board. But yeah, man. Um, I don't know. I can't articulate just how much of an impact he had on my consciousness. Um, it's like, and I mirrored everything that I've heard so far, like what Underrated has said and Ronan has said and Emoja and Deontay and Mike. Um, it's almost as if, well, I can say this. There were brothers at the slave who considered themselves intelligent, and they would take a knee to Amos. Like Amos was like by May. Like nobody really challenged him in terms of, like, it was just common knowledge though. This dude is just the dude. So I'm just gonna listen to what he has to say. And I remember going to his funeral in the Bronx, and his funeral was set up like a comedic funeral. Like it wasn't a Christian funeral, but it was set up like a comedic funeral. I remember that specifically about it. And I went there with my ex-girlfriend and Mac. And I can't articulate the impact that he's had on my life other than to say I don't think there would be a BAIO or a HOLLUP if not for Amos Wilson. I think I can confidently say that. Because before that, it's sort of like you're the wandering around aimlessly in the wilderness. And he was able to provide some direction. And I will always appreciate that, always love him. And I'm honored to have been in his presence and to actually have met him. It's like I feel blessed the fact that I can even say that. Honored to have met John Henry Clark. Honored to have met Dr. Ben. All the people that we just let leave this earth without us establishing a nation of our own. Could you imagine what our government would be if these people were alive?
That's what I was saying.
Experience with Hollip and him knowing or being spoken to or being the presence of Amos Wilson. So when I first came across, I said it earlier, when I first came across Amos Wilson, I was mostly in awe because, like, my natural personality, when I talk, I get excited and then I start getting animated and stuff like that. It just goes crazy, right? And it's still passionate and it's love and all that other stuff. When I looked at this man, I listened to him and I was looking at him like, how the fuck is he doing this? Like, breaking down to the minutia, not just what the problem is, but how to get to the solutions, and doing it in a way that it is hard not to just listen to. You can't, and when you're not doing that loud, boisterous stuff, you won't hear a whole lot of finger claps, finger snaps, and yeah, right? Like it's a cheering, thing. It's like, no, I'm teaching you something. I'm telling you something. I'm informing you for real. This is not a show. That's what I loved about him so much. And then now let me fast forward to being that I was literally eating Amos Wilson everything. I couldn't even find the book. I couldn't find the book anywhere for months. But I was eating all of his lecture content on YouTube, anything that I could read. And I came across it was something with Hollip and Dawood. And then later on in our relationship talking, I remember Big Bro Hollip saying, oh yeah, I was at the slave. He was talking about the slave theater, something that I'm unfamiliar with being a West Coast dude, but he was talking about the slave theater and yada, yada. Then he started talking about Amos Wilson. And I want to say that I stopped the conversation like, wait, what? He talking about he was there. Do y'all know how it feels like to watch a lecture from somebody who you consider a god, and then realize that somebody who you getting to know, somebody who you look up to, somebody who you want to build with in today, and you could say that this person was in the same building as this person, that's like, man, if I'm talking to somebody and they say, oh no, I walked with Malcolm X, wouldn't that trip you out? If somebody, you know somebody and they say, no, I walked with Malcolm X. I remember talking to my uncle a couple weeks ago. You know, I'm a Cali kid. My dad and my uncle talk about they remember Angela Davis coming to Richmond, California and giving them pamphlets, Black Panther pamphlets to pass out. Like, that's a crazy memory for my uncle and my dad to have. That's a fucking insane memory, right? Ain't that crazy? Like, and my uncle is, when I tell you he's so not nationhood, my like uncle, my dad's brother, nigga. It's like, how did you get a pamphlet? He said Angela Davis kissed him on the cheek because they was kids, right? Kissed him on the cheek, and he said he didn't watch that cheek. Nigga, how you experience that, nigga? You ain't ready to die for your people. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he remembers this memory, but when I tell you he's the most, oh shucks, old brother, like for real, I don't know what happened to my uncle. Straight up. But yeah, though, man, it's just a wonderful feeling to know that I'm in the right place. When you talk about the universe and God and gods and all that stuff, no, we in the right place, brothers. We in the right. I say all that to get to the point that we in the right place. We are Amos Wilson's offspring. How about that?
We're his cubs in the jungle. Yep. Does anybody else have anything to say? Because we are 20 minutes over.
I want to say this. I had my mom listen to some of his lectures when I'm driving her. She almost likens him to like a preacher or something. That's wonderful. But yeah, I got nothing else to say, man. Y'all guys covered.
If you listen to Amos and you have half a brain in your head, you're gonna come away different. Yeah, that's
Oh,
basically
what I want to add too is he gives you no room to have excuses. That's what I like about him. Like, no matter what you do, like even if you're down bad, like I'll listen to like his lectures and while I'm commuting or whatnot. It's like getting that cold water bath, splashed on you because you want to go to sleep. That's the effect.
Yeah, man. I and the thing about it is, I don't worship him. I'm inspired by him because what his information does, it's like a teacher. When you go to college and you have a really good teacher, they give you the tools to go forward, and that's what he's given me. It's not about worshiping or getting dogmatic and just thinking that it's just about them. No, they gave us the tools for us to take those tools and go forward. And that's where the BIL has come from. That's where Liberia has come from. You know what I'm saying? These people have inspired us to go forward, and that's the way it should be. Have I lost y'all? You there?
No, we're
Oh,
here.
okay. I didn't hear
Picking
anything.
up what you're saying. Yeah.
My nephew said another one. He said Amos Wilson gave us a clear picture of exactly how our mental state has been hijacked by white supremacy and how our behavior has changed to become a self-destructive tool that benefits. Yeah. Yeah. Thank God for the thinkers, man. You know. And so many people, like I was talking to Yamoja, like, can you imagine we had our government and we had all of these great thinkers alive?
Mm-hmm.
Like how it would benefit us as a people. We just allow so many people to pass that could help us in what we're trying to do if we're really trying to do something.
That's the part, big bro. That's the part. That's the part where I've been really thinking of. I think that's the next level of this stuff is pressing upon the people to, one, stop listening to the people they've been listening to because they're not leading them anywhere. And two, and most importantly, similar to what you said, start digging off into the chest of all these people with all this money, and all they doing is talking. Let me tell y'all a story. I screen recorded it too. I'm going to share it here sometime this week. It was on the Stephen A. Smith show. You know what this Negro said? He said, y'all, when the George Floyd thing happened, I'm going to share it soon too. I might share it in a group before I share it anywhere else. But he said, y'all, when the George Floyd thing happens, because I'm noticing that we got a lot of athletes, we got all this money, we got all these resources, but at the end of the day, we just individuals in the system. This is Stephen A. Smith, y'all. He said, imagine when the George Floyd thing happened. Imagine if all of the athletes would have pooled their resources and gave money to lobbyists in Capitol Hill to push their agendas. He said that, y'all. This is something that we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we've been saying. Us little nobodies throughout America been saying, hey, y'all, why don't we get our brightest and best? Calm down, y'all. When I say brightest and best, I just mean by the brightest green money. I don't mean that they're intelligent, because we know that money don't equal intelligence. But just for sake of time, let's get our brightest and best and have them investing in us, instead of us always going to the government saying the government needs to do this, the government needs to do this, America owes us this. Okay, well, why don't we try to repair ourselves first? It's a simple system. Every major city with black people has, guess what? A football, a baseball, a basketball team, sometimes a hockey team. Most of them have lots of black people on it. That means that there's millions and millions and millions, sometimes legit hundreds of millions being generated in that very fucking city, that very fucking state. Why is the black condition so messed up? Why aren't we interested in taking care of each other? And why don't we impress this viciously upon our people with the resources? Why? Why are we panicking when they say, oh, federal government is going to stop giving money to organizations? Why are black people panicking? Black people should be the first people taking care of each other, saying, no, America never has taken care of us. So guess what? Us with this money, us Tyler Perry's, us 50 Cents, us LeBron James, we have a black pot because we know that America don't mean us shit. Why isn't that happening? We know why, but why is the general public on board with saying, okay, well, we can't fuck with y'all anymore since y'all don't fuck with us like that?
And you know what the funny part is, Umoja? We're not asking them for money. We're asking them to put their money in a black bank. It's still their money. You know what I'm saying? They still have access to it. It's their
You can have
money.
it all.
We're just saying put your money in a black bank.
So y'all, this is something that we came up. I think we were talking yesterday, and I was talking about I went to a meeting with a bunch of men, with a bunch of black men, and when we left, per usual, it was no real plan. It was like, okay, well, let's get a committee to see when we're gonna meet again, right? Okay. And we was talking, I was like, bro, you know what would have been a good ass idea right then and there to say, hey, everybody open up a one united bank account, and this is how we're gonna start our investment. Everybody put $100 a month into that account, and every month when we meet, we report how much money we have collectively, and when we decide what we want to build, then we'll have it. That way you build in trust. That way you saving the money, and you ain't got to work, because you know that's a huge thing with us. First of all, money. We don't want to give ourselves money for ourselves at all. It's always a question times 10. And second of all, it's the trust piece. Like, why would I give this money to this pot? I don't know this nigga. You know what I'm saying? I don't know Charlie, nigga. Fuck him, right? About my money, which is real. However, if we all have our own black bank account at One United Bank, and we just open up a different savings account that says Black Men Group or whatever, Black People Future, and every month you just come and report, yeah, I only put 20 in this month. Then you add your 20 to his 30 to his 50. And at the end of the meeting, we say, yeah, y'all, we working with 15,000 now. Next month, guess what? Yeah, y'all, we working with 16.1 now. It's fucking simple. It's so many things that we could do that's real commonsensical and very simple and feasible, which is the most important part. It's feasible. It's attainable. Why aren't we doing it, y'all? Because that's what we fall short in doing the shit. Nobody has to even know how much money you got, y'all, but this is ours. Something for us. It's like the government got to tell us. White people got to tell us to do something to feel like it's okay. Why don't we believe in ourselves? Why don't you just hear me say that and be like, that's a good ass idea. I'm passing that on to my leadership. That's what your black ass should be doing. Not making excuses of why it won't work. You should be doing that.
Right now, there's nothing standing in the way of opening up a black bank account. Nothing. No white man is going to come and jump in front of your keyboard. Can you imagine if we, at the end of February, which is Black History Month, which we're damn near close to, our black bank has about 50 billion in total assets
Hmm.
compared to the 600 million that they have now? Wouldn't that be making a statement without firing any weapons, without blood and urine samples? Wouldn't that be making a statement?
I think it would be.
Of course it would be. And it's the crazy part is that we're black nationalists. We're not even concerned about America. We're talking about overseas. But yet we live here in America. We're saying, well, since we live here, shouldn't we be putting our money into the black bank? How does that conflict with FBA and ADOS? It doesn't. We can all open up accounts at One United Bank. It's called One United Bank. What's the excuse?
Let me say this. Let me say this to any black people still listening to this. Last night I started watching this documentary. Don't know why, but it's on little police show. That seemed to be the only thing that I find interesting. It's a police show, and they're going after a white supremacy gang, right? And I'm like, so I'm watching it, y'all, and they find these people's. The only reason why they start going after this gang is because they start killing their own. Let's be clear, they start killing white people because they were just on meth and killing white people. So they said, y'all got to stop now. But they found these people documents, and don't you know, mind you, this is a white nationalist group, y'all, in America. Let me be clear, y'all. There is absolutely zero reason for there to be a white nationalist group in America. It's literally the most retarded thing ever. You're just think about it. But anyway, when they found their documents in their articles of incorporation, they shit says unity is of first importance. The family, the progression of the white race, a future for white kids. This is what their documentation says, y'all. Now I'm saying this as I say this, I think when black folks hear black first and black only, black people think that, oh man, we got to get on black hoods and go burn crosses upside down in white neighborhoods. Like, no. But the energy and the focus for a black future has to be equally as serious as theirs. How are you going to fight an enemy when your enemy is already in a position of power, but they are moving as if they're not? These people moving as if they're under attack. We are literally under attack and won't organize.
Because some of you want to be Jews, the other half want to be copper colored Boers, the other half wants to be indigenous to America. That's why black people are scattered. That's oh boy, we are such a mess.
Part of me also thinks too, like we're in I think in this day and time, it's like a battle of the best ideology. Like when you look at in
Yeah,
sports, right? Or let's say basketball for right now, they're currently their biggest issue is who is going to be the face of the NBA going forward, because the superstars that we have now, they're getting old, and whatever strategy or game plan, that would work to win the championship, people are starting to figure it out. And when you look at that in reality as well in life, it's the same thing where the whole, the white man on the brain disease and do for self, nation within a nation, slowly people are starting to get tired of hearing that. So now it's like the championship is up to grabs now at this point. It just has to be implemented, and it has to be structured and organized. So whatever ideology, you know, can do that, to me, it wins. What idea, what end game, or what agenda is going to be the face for Black people going forward? To me, that's how I see it now, because there's so many different ideas, there's so many different talking points that we have as a people. A lot of it obviously doesn't make sense. It makes sense except for ours, unless there's anybody else. I don't know. Y'all tell me. But yeah, to me, that's how I see it. It's the battle of ideology. Whichever may the best ideology win. And then from there going forward, that will be the beginning, I would say, of the paradigm shift for us. And then it just, rolls into a snowball for there. But that's my last 2 cents. I'll be in the lounge tonight because not only it's Amos Wilson's birthday today, but also at midnight it'll be my birthday. So
Oh
let's
shit!
let the good times roll, right?
Oh snap!
Keep the party going.
No doubt. Wow, a lot of firsts. You got Malcolm X, Amos
Yeah,
Wilson, and
underrated.
Underrated Mind.
Hmm.
Nice. But anyway, y'all, this has been a pleasure. We've gone over the time limit because we wanted to give Amos his flowers and talk to some people we haven't heard from in a while. But
And Brother Malcolm as well. You can't forget about Brother Malcolm.
yes, we will see you, brothers and sisters, in the lounge. Peace.
Peace.